Good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here this morning. I'm San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria, and I'm pleased to be joined by a number of really important San Diegans on an issue for which there's really no parallel in terms of the need to take action in our city. Starts first and foremost with my partner in housing issues, City Council President Pro Tem Stephen Whitburn, who chairs our city's Land Use and Housing Committee and who represents District 3, where we are today. Steve, there we go, on this side. There we go. It's like, no, that's Dixon Smith. And we also have Lindsay Jakes, who's with us today. She's a student at the University of San Diego and who will talk about her personal experiences with the need for more housing. Now, I'm just going to warn you in advance. This is a little bit lengthy, but as I mentioned a moment ago, there is no bigger issue facing the city than our housing affordability crisis. And I'm talking about everyone from the unsheltered on our streets to the working and middle-class families who increasingly don't see a future for themselves here. And the housing issue itself is very complex, very intricate. And so this is going to take a minute to explain, but I must explain it because we need to build support to pass these initiatives in order to make sure that San Diegans like Lindsay, who you'll hear in a moment, can actually find a place to live here in San Diego. I'm personally excited to announce a series of policy proposals that will make it easier to produce more housing in the city of San Diego and to do it faster than ever before. The initiatives that we're announcing today enjoy support from a broad range of civic groups, and many of them are with us here today. I want to acknowledge Stephen Russell from the San Diego Housing Federation, Stephanie Benvenuto from the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, Betsy Brennan from the Downtown San Diego Partnership, Colin Parent from Circulate San Diego, Marissa Borquez, I know that. Marissa Borquez Tucker with San Diego YIMBY Dems, Chris Clark with the Urban Land Institute, Lori Holt-Filer with the Building Industry Association, and congratulations, Lori, on your new role. We're so glad to have you there. And Debbie Ruane, who is a member, who is a housing advocate extraordinaire, and as well as a member of my Back to Work SD Housing Subcommittee, many of whom members are also here today. These folks share my vision for a San Diego that works for all of us. And I thank each of them for being here today, enduring this sun, and understanding that we got to make progress when it comes to housing. I also want to thank Bishop Ventures, as well as the Murphy Company, for hosting us today here at Sequoia on 5th. When this project is finished, it will produce 100 new homes, including 11 units priced for residents with low incomes. Most of the remaining units will be priced for middle-income San Diegans, folks that commonly cannot afford the luxury stuff that gets built really easily around here, but earn too much to qualify for the low-income stuff that is also available in the community. This project is making use of programs that allow the developer to increase density on the property in exchange for providing more affordable homes near transit. We want and we need more of this in San Diego. You agree?
Yes.
Housing stability, affordability, and proximity are at the root the challenges that we face as a region, from transportation, climate change, employment, education, and equity. We don't have nearly enough homes that our residents can afford, and that makes addressing these challenges so much harder. But I'm actually happy to share a little bit of good news with you all today. Today, the city is releasing its annual housing report. This report shows that during the last 5 years, San Diego has seen the largest increase ever in the construction of affordable housing. It's great that we are doing better in producing more subsidized homes for very low-income San Diegans. We know that we must do a lot more. The report also shows that we build a whole lot of housing for luxury housing for affluent folks. And that's good too. But the question, of course, is what about everyone else? What about the young professionals who are just starting their careers here in San Diego at entry-level pay? What about all the workers who power our economy and who don't earn enough to live here in San Diego? What about families who are risk being broken apart because of the high cost of housing? And what about local businesses who might consider relocating outside of our city if they cannot find and retain talented employees? If we want to ensure that all of our families, friends, and neighbors can thrive here, then we must create more housing that residents at all income levels can afford. And that's why we're rolling out a series of initiatives today that will pave the way for more housing in all of our communities. This starts with streamlining the way we update our community plans. Our Blueprint San Diego initiative will speed up the process for community plan updates throughout the city so that we can plan for more housing in our communities where it makes the most sense. This plan will help us build more housing near transit and create more walkable and bikeable communities across the city that will help us meet our climate action plan goals. The process of soliciting public input on Blueprint San Diego begins today. So I encourage San Diegans to go to sandiego.gov/blueprintsd to learn more about this and to sign up for updates. I also plan to convene a middle-income housing work group of volunteers to help formulate and evaluate incentives to produce more homes that are priced in the missing middle of our housing economy. In addition, during the weeks and the months to come, we'll be rolling out details on initiatives that will allow us to do a number of things. Number one, create housing at city facilities. We have a lot of city property. We can put them to better use, and we need to start doing that. Building housing on vacant and underused commercial sites. You see them all across the city and most of our neighborhoods. Let's put that land to better use. Allow more affordable homes in communities with little to no affordable housing and are close to job centers, schools, transit, and parks. Every neighborhood has to contribute to the solutions when it comes to our housing affordability crisis. This endeavors to do that. Provide incentives to create more ADA accessible housing for disabled and older San Diegan residents. We know that folks need more housing that they can age and place at, housing that is accommodating to those who are differently able in our city. We should lead on that, and we will do it. Achieve the city's climate action goals by incentivizing housing construction on existing auto-oriented sites like car washes and repair shops in areas near buses and trolleys. Enough with the drive-thrus. Let's build some more housing, everybody. Create more live and work units to promote working from home and additional telework opportunities. I hear it everywhere I go in the city. Folks have enjoyed working from home in many cases, not all, but many cases, and we should make it easier for folks to do that, both for the worker and for the employer. Permanently require new projects at residential sites to require affordable units with similarly priced units and provide affected residents with enhanced protections and alternative affordable housing options. There's a lot in that bullet point, but at the end of the day, what we want to do is guard against displacement for those who are barely hanging on by their fingertips. They need a place here in San Diego. We're going to provide policy that makes that more likely. Create additional programs to construct new and rehabilitate and preserve existing single-room occupancy units to ensure entry-level housing options for unhoused residents. SROs are a critical first step on the housing ladder. It's the first rung. A lot of what we have right now is junky. It needs to be updated. It doesn't meet our expectations in a city as amazing as San Diego. We can elevate those, and we need to build a lot more of it. We don't have to just rely on 100-year-old product. We have to build 21st century SROs. We want to do more of that. And provide additional density bonuses in housing developments with units that have 3 or more bedrooms, including bonuses if those units are affordable. Let's be honest, anyone here with a family knows it is difficult to find housing that you can actually put your kids in, where they can have their own bedroom. That is not acceptable. We have to be a city that welcomes families. If we encourage and incentivize more homes of 3 units or more, 3 bedrooms or more, we can do that, and we will. We've also created an online toolkit for homeowners, property owners, and developers to help them easily understand existing city programs to build affordable housing. That was a lot of bullet points, but at the end of the day, the objective is very simple: a roof over your head at a price that you can afford. Every San Diegan deserves that, and we've got to get it done. Whether you're a senior citizen who has lived here for decades and on a fixed income, or an up-and-coming student getting an education at one of our world-class universities, or anything in between, you have to be able to see that there's a future for you here in San Diego. These policy initiatives are intended to show them that that future exists. I want to express special thanks to our planning director, Mike Hansen, who is here. Mike, where are you at? There he is, in the back. He's pretty awesome. Importantly, he has a really awesome team. Mike, I appreciate you and our entire planning department for bringing a number of these ideas forward. Mike and I have been working together to flesh out these ideas, put some meat on them, and roll them out now. And I encourage, again, the public to comment on them. And with those comments, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our President Pro Tem of our City Council, the council member for the district we're in, and importantly today, the chair of our Housing Committee. Please put your hands together for Councilmember Stephen Whitburn. Stephen?
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. And I want to say good morning and thank you to everybody who is with us this morning. As chair of the City Council's Land Use and Housing Committee, I want to thank the mayor for his leadership on housing policy. It is the foremost issue facing our city. The only way we'll end widespread homelessness ensure San Diegans could afford to stay here, and attract top talent for a world-class city is by creating homes that people can afford. Quality of life starts with housing. We love our neighborhoods and should be able to keep living in them. Sadly, we have seen longtime residents leave for other cities because they could no longer afford to stay. Young people who grew up here have had to move away. Our residents have seen their rents rise and rise, but their paychecks have not kept pace. In fact, most, not just many, but most San Diegans are financially strained by the high cost of housing. The City Council is determined to ensure that San Diego has homes affordable to everyone. Naturally, this includes housing for people with low incomes, but it also includes homes for workers with moderate incomes. Many people earn too much to qualify for subsidized housing, yet earn too little to afford full-price housing. We want people who work in our city to be able to live in our city. That reduces commutes and it grows our economy. This City Council has made it a priority to create housing that our residents can afford. Since the beginning of the year, my colleagues and I have consistently approved projects and proposals that advance that goal. The Land Use and Housing Committee looks forward to taking up the mayor's initiatives, and together, the mayor and the City Council will continue to create a world-class city with homes for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen, for those great comments. You heard from me, you heard from the council member, but here's who you really want to hear from. Lindsay Jakes. She is a student at the University of San Diego, a resident of Little Italy, and she's going to bring it home from a personal perspective. Lindsay?
Perfect, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Gloria and Council President Pro Tem Whitburn, for having me here today. My name is Lindsay Jakes. I'm originally from Wisconsin, but I moved to San Diego to pursue a law degree at the University of San Diego School of Law, where I'm entering my third and final year of school. I was drawn to San Diego because of my academic institution, but more than that, I fell in love with this great city and wanted to make San Diego my community and my home. I decided to go to law school with the goal of making a positive impact and contributing to my community through public interest and nonprofit work, specifically focused on the environment, equity, and land use. Unfortunately, the cost of housing in San Diego may prohibit me from staying here and working here after graduation. If I want to achieve my goals of working with the public to better a community, I need to be able to afford to live in that community. And the cost of housing and ability to grow wealth in San Diego makes that a greater challenge than in most cities. My situation is not isolated. Many of my peers face the same challenge in regards to housing. One of my classmates was recently forced to move out of his apartment next to our school because it's being turned into luxury condos. Another classmate plans to commute to school from hours away. It's a common conversation to discuss if or where we're moving after graduating because it's simply too expensive to stay here for many of us, even with a highly regarded law degree. Home ownership does not seem attainable for many of us if we stay in San Diego. The lack of affordable housing is drawing out the people that our academic institutions work hard to bring in and educate. While the cost of housing is prohibitive to many graduates in deciding to stay in San Diego, affordable housing is an issue for many of the people in this city. Affirmative action towards creating more affordable housing is necessary so the city's educational efforts are not lost, so new wealth can accumulate and build, and so all San Diegans can have a place to rest their heads at night. Housing should be affordable to people of all income levels and all backgrounds, and that is why I am in full support of a greater production of homes for all of us. Thank you. Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you for that. Let me just wrap up, you're welcome, with a couple quick comments. First off, I see we have some of our workers who are here. Guys, thank you for what you do. We can't build more housing without workers, the people that actually swing the hammers, pour the concrete. I thank you. And I saw some nodding heads when I was talking before because you're in this too. You don't see a future for yourself here. You're probably commuting long distances. You don't know where you're going to put your kids, that kind of stuff. This is for you as well. Right? Because ultimately this is about making sure the city works for all of us. And the city will not work if we're just a place for the very wealthy who can afford to live here and the very poor who are trapped here. We have to have a city where people at all income levels can live here successfully. You heard from Lindsay, a law student. She's on her way to graduate from a great university. I'm a little biased. I'm a USD Torero myself. After investing in her, helping her get the skills and the talents to compete in a global economy, are we just going to give her her diploma and show her the door? Or are we going to create a space for her to be in this city, to contribute to its vibrancy and to its success, to help us compete against all the cities all around the world who need quality talent like Lindsay in order to be successful? They want to be here naturally. Questions to us whether or not we're going to make a space for them or not. These San Diegans are saying we're going to make space for them. We have no other choice, guys. We have 8,000 unsheltered people in this county, the most clearest expression of our housing crisis. But the one that we don't think enough about are the hundreds of thousands of families, maybe more than 1 million families, who sit at their kitchen tables every single month wondering, how am I going to make this rent payment? Am I going to get a rent increase? And how will I ever be able to buy a home in this city? As mayor, that's unacceptable. And we will do what it takes to make sure that every neighborhood is meaningfully contributing to solutions to this particular problem. I'm a third-generation San Diegan. My parents are a maid and a gardener. They worked their fingers to the bone in this city in order to buy a home. They did it. They made it as working-class people. You just heard from a law student, a future attorney, that she doesn't know whether or not she can afford a home in San Diego. That's how much has radically changed in the 30 years since my parents bought their home to where we're at today. This trend line is unsustainable. We must change it. With the proposals we're making today, we can make a change. We can create a city that makes a space for everyone. We can create a more competitive, viable city that will be the envy of the rest of the world. So we're swinging for the fences. We are dreaming big on this because failure is not an option. Our existing strategies are failing. Thousands of homeless people, tons of housing insecure folks, people exiting our community. That stops now. Let's create spaces for more San Diegans to live here. Let's encourage them to be able to be here, to contribute to our community, to contribute to our collective success, to the wealth of our city. If we do that, nothing's going to stop us. We will be a big city that embraces its size and its abilities, and we will be successful. I'll wrap up by saying you guys have been champs, standing on asphalt and steel right in the middle of the sun. But as much as you've endured right now, you know it's harder to endure the current situation with our housing crisis. You know that pain exceeds this pain. I thank you for being here today to show the rest of San Diego we are united in saying we must build more housing for all of us. Thank you all for being here. We'll take questions one-on-one, preferably in the shade, okay? And all of our stakeholder groups are able to answer questions. So talk to the chamber, talk to the BIA, talk to the YIMBY Dems, talk to Circulate San Diego, talk to all of them. This isn't just the mayor's idea. This is everyone crying out for change. We're going to do that here in San Diego. Thank you all for being here.